Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host Jake, and with me as always is my good co-host Ian.
I'm surprised I'm still the good co-host. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Ian.
And joining us as per usual is my other fine co-host Mud. How you doing?
Fuck you, man.
What is this show, you might ask? Well, every week the three of us idiots sit down and review a Best Picture winner and determine if it's one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the others. This week we're discussing the 9th Best Picture winner ever, which is The Great Ziegfeld. And to start us off, Mud has collected some fun facts about the film, which Ian and I have not heard ahead of time.
I
So
don't know
Mud,
shit about this movie.
take it away.
All right. Well, The Great Ziegfeld is a film.
Get fat.
All right, let's start the movie.
Yeah, no. So you know how in all of our shows we discuss, was this film a technical achievement or a storytelling achievement, and is that why it won Best Picture? Yeah, so I'm going to spoil this. It's a technical achievement because this movie's ass.
No, not another bad one.
So it was released on April 8th, 1936, though it had a premiere in Los Angeles on March 22nd. It was released by MGM Studios, and it's a biopic. I know Mutiny on the Bounty is kind of a biopic because that actually happened, but this is like a legitimate biopic.
A
Like this dude,
3-hour-long biopic?
this dude had just died when they made the film.
Jeez.
Actually, one of the reasons that this film was made is because his widow was trying to pay off his debts without filing for bankruptcy, so she sold the rights to a biopic to Universal, who tried to get it up and running and ultimately failed, and then they sold the rights to MGM. 64% Rotten Tomato critic score, 6.7 out of 10 IMDb, and 50% Rotten Tomatoes audience.
Okay.
That's pretty strong.
It's pretty mixed. It was directed by Robert Ziegler Leonard, a.k.a. Pop. That's
What?
my fun fact.
How do you get pop out of any of that?
It stars William Horatio Powell. He was also married briefly to Carol Lombard, who is the future wife of Clark Gable.
Yep.
Speaking of The Thin Man, which he's co-starred with Myrna Loy's in this film,
Nice.
which is why I brought it up. And then finally, our last actor of this film is Louise Rayner, also known for The Good Earth, which she won the Academy Award for Best Actress in.
Oh, good.
Yep, it was great. I looked into it. She did Yellowface.
Oh.
Yeah, she
Jesus.
played an Asian character, and her ethnicity is German American and British.
Yeah, my favorite Asian country, German America, Brittany.
She was also the oldest living Oscar recipient. She died in 2014
Wow.
at the age of 104,
Jesus. Okay.
and she had won 2 Oscars by the age of 30. The only other person to ever do so, besides her to do that in the Best Actress category, is Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So this film, like I said, is a production marvel. There were over 1,000 people employed working on this film.
Oh, wow.
And it had
Jesus.
16 reels of film. The set for the musical number "A Pretty Girl Is Like a Melody" alone was reported to have cost $220,000 US. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $4 million. That's a lot to spend on a budget pack. Yeah.
On one set, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Billy Burke, who was Ziegfeld's widow, objected to her role being cast with another actress since she was also an actress under contract at the studio and could
so
play
funny.
herself. But the producers concluded that at that point she wasn't big enough to star in the film as herself.
That's fucked up.
That's
Wow.
fucked up. Yeah.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah. It won the Academy Award for Best Dance Direction, which was a now defunct
Yeah.
award.
Best dance direction?
Yep.
My God.
The
It also
choreography?
was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, but it lost to The Story of Louis Pasteur. And it was also nominated for Best Film Editing, but it lost to Anthony Adverse.
Can I ask you a question? Did you say best original?
Yeah.
Isn't it based off a dude's life? That's adapted.
We've talked about this.
You've
What
talked
the
about
fuck?
this. We've talked about this.
Oh, it also was nominated for Best Director, but he lost to Frank Capra.
No,
Ah.
not Frank again.
It's a returning Frank.
It's fucking Frank.
Our
Fucking,
favorite.
it's always fucking Frank.
Frank Lloyd, Frank Capra, Frankie Frank.
But
fucking
it
Jesus.
did win Best Picture, and it beat out Anthony Adverse, The Story of Louis Pasteur, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, Dodsworth, Libeled Lady, Romeo and Juliet, San Francisco, A Tale of Two Cities, and Three Smart Girls.
Wait, some of those are. I've seen one of those movies, maybe 2.
So I did collect a few things about Florence Edward Ziegfeld Jr., a.k.a. the Great Ziegfeld. So he had these shows called Ziegfeld's Follies, which were like elaborate song and dance number shows, somewhere between like Broadway and vaudeville productions.
Cool. Okay.
And a lot of the extras in this film are what were known as Ziegfeld girls, like girls who performed at his shows.
Neat.
Yeah, like basically playing themselves.
That's pretty cool. But his wife can't play himself though. She's not big enough.
No, she wasn't big enough. Several people threatened legal action if their names were so mentioned, including two Ziegfeld girls named Marilyn Miller and Lillian Lorraine.
Duh, they're gonna sue. You just said their names.
Yeah, I know. But they were like, I don't want to be mentioned in this dude's fucking movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he just not a good guy? We'll find out. We'll be the judge of that.
It reminds me of what's that movie? The Greatest Showman, about
Okay.
P.T. Barnum.
Yep.
I think it's going to be very similar to that, where we just see how this guy built his empire.
And there's songs in this one too.
Yeah,
so.
it's the first real musical. Like, I know Broadway Melody was supposed to be a musical, but I think this one's going to be like a genuine musical.
Maybe it'll surprise us. Maybe it'll come back and hit us in the head.
Wow. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't.
Maybe it will. Maybe it'll be good. Who knows? We don't know. We haven't seen these old movies. But before we start that, Mud, what's the Mary Pickford fact?
I'll tell you. Around the time that this film came out, Mary Pickford began hosting Parties at Pick Fair, a CBS radio program that was canceled after just 13 weeks because it proved unpopular with a Depression-era public.
What? People from the Great Depression didn't like Mary Pickford
Yeah.
talking?
I would love Mary Pickford just talking.
Actually, the reason I picked this fact is because it kind of Springfields into this movie, which is this film is known for being like about Hollywood excess.
Okay.
And just over the top spectacle for no fucking reason and just spending exorbitant amounts of money on dumb shit.
Oh, you
That's
mean
so funny.
Entourage, the TV show?
Yeah. So I think that'll be interesting because this came out in like the late 30s, which was like right as the Depression was ending. So
Yep.
I don't know how people went to the theaters and were like, yeah, I want to see a movie about a bunch of Hollywood execs who coasted through the Depression.
Yeah.
Just making like, this is like the stereotypical like Hollywood film where it's like all these weird performers who are just
Yeah.
being paid to do weird shit.
That is really weird.
Yeah. So I'm actually really interested to see that angle of it within
Yeah.
the context
See,
of
that
this movie
sounds
came
like
out.
it's gonna be interesting, but that's not gonna be the whole movie.
No, I don't think it will
Yeah.
be.
Let's find out. All right, guys, we're back into it. We just watched The Great Ziegfeld. Who
Can I
wants to
just
start?
say-
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm physically exhausted.
Dude, I'm crying.
That movie was so difficult to get through.
All right.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm going to start where it starts. There is a 5-minute overture musical introduction with no visuals. It's just music. And the song itself climaxes like 5 times, and you go, oh, the movie's about to start.
It doesn't. It
No,
never
there's
starts.
more song.
It does
The
mislead
movie
you.
never starts.
It really set the tone. And then it gets better because after the overture, there is an extensive and very elaborate opening credits
Yep.
in like flashing lights. And I will say this movie met my expectations of being long, excessive, and unnecessary in the excess.
Oh
All
my
right.
god.
All right, hold on. Before we all fire directly in, because I can safely say that we all give it a negative review.
No way.
I would like, if we can even stomach it, to first talk about only the good things before we unleash hell
Okay.
upon this
Um,
movie. Where do you want to start?
I almost just said it felt like it was 5 hours long. That's not a good thing.
That's a very bad thing.
All right. The only good things in this movie is the costumes are really cool. They're really nice. They're awesome. And the set design, like that big cake that we're looking at right here on the screen.
There's a very
Yeah.
long and elaborate dance number
Yep.
that spirals up this strange ethereal tower
Yep.
that kind of takes you out of it. And it's very good. It's very
Yep.
well coordinated. It's a oneer,
Yep.
as far as I can tell. You
The
know, this-
dance choreography in it is
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
The set design's beautiful.
The
costume
costumes are
design's
beautiful.
great, and that's all I can say that's good about this 3-hour movie.
This felt like it was like a 10 or 15 minute sequence in the film. And there's musical numbers
Yep.
before and after it. And then there's an intermission. And it gets to the point where you're watching this and you're going, what is this adding to the story? What is the point of this scene?
Let's talk good about the film. Man, every scene in this movie is way
All
too
right,
long.
all right. I'm gonna fire into the positive. The reason why it won is because the set design is, and I cannot
Easy.
understate this, massively impressive.
It is
easily.
really
They have
good.
some incredible set designs. And
Handedly.
Before we
Yep.
keep just speed, because we're about to go in, but before we just keep on pummeling it, I gotta say, oh my god, the technical work that went into these theatrical production sequences of all of these scenes, so phenomenally good. There's
I
one
agree.
sequence where it's the big, it's what you were talking about, the big,
The
looks
big
like
cake.
a cake, basically. They're all
Yeah.
standing around a cake in a spiral staircase. That's amazing.
It is a really,
Like,
really good
To
looking
construct
scene.
that for a film,
Yep.
the way they did with the camera moving in and all the people.
And these big elaborate draping curtains that come up and go
Yep.
down.
Right.
Like
It's really cool.
It's a technical marvel.
It is.
Yep.
And honestly, I totally get why it won based on that alone. That makes total sense. To me, anyway. I get it. That's phenomenal work in that department.
Now, that being said, boy, oh boy, was this film long and gratuitous and just a chore to watch.
All right. I don't think I'm as down on this movie as you guys are. There are a lot of scenes in this film that go on for forever.
I feel like almost every scene in this movie could be cut down by half.
I completely agree though.
Thank
There are
you.
scenes where like okay, the first time he meets Anna,
Mhm.
she kicks him out of her room like
15
3 times and
times.
then keeps calling him back in, and I don't know
Yeah.
why. And there's a bigger problem I have that we'll get into more about how Ziegfeld gives everybody zero reason
To like him.
to like. No, people like him because he's charismatic. I get that, but people give him zero reason to like actually back him for anything.
Yeah,
Like,
ever.
you know, it's like, oh, cool, I'm glad you're a nice, honest guy, but like, I don't think you're gonna succeed. And like, it's even a joke towards the end of the movie where it's like, oh, we're never gonna give him money anymore. What did you do?
I gave him money.
Oh, I gave him money.
Billings gives him money 15 times throughout the movie. I'm
So
barely
many.
exaggerating. That's hyperbole, but barely.
Yeah, I think it's like 12.
Like, Anna goes with him even though he has no money, and she has a $200,000 modern day money offer. Like, there are so many things in this movie that do not make sense because this man is broke and has no money. It doesn't matter how many good ideas you have if you don't have anything to back it up with, and he never has anything to back it up with.
So I would like to fire in with a bit of a take. I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me or not. I'm pretty sure that if you took this 3-hour and 5-minute movie and cut out every single theatrical dance scene, the movie flows the same. I would argue the story is unchanged.
Yeah,
I
no.
think you can leave in like a couple minutes just to show like it is a visualization of Ziegfeld's talent that he can put this together.
Fair. You could absolutely keep in like a few minutes here and there.
Especially the big cake one.
Right.
Like
yeah, keep in
that
some-
is the crescendo. That
Yeah.
is like Ziegfeld's magnum opus in this
Mhm.
film.
Yep,
But
I agree.
all of these sequences go on for like 10, 15, 20-minute
Yes.
intervals.
No, you can cut all of them by half almost.
Oh my god.
There's barely any dialogue, and you know what? The acting in this movie,
It's okay.
too theatrical for me. It doesn't feel like film acting. It feels more like theater acting. Anna, she won Best Actress. She's fine at best.
She's all right. She disappears after her character
Well, yeah.
divorces Ziegfeld.
I have more of a qualm with the writing of that character rather than with the acting.
Anna, yeah.
I think the
she-
acting is fine, but
She's
like
fine, yes.
the problem
I
is
don't
like
know why they got divorced.
well, okay, let's look more at the end of the movie too. She's shocked that Ziegfeld remarried so damn quickly.
When she's the one who divorced him.
Yeah.
More importantly, she fails to realize that her and him married almost instantaneously. Why is she shocked
Fun
to have
fact,
again?
they didn't marry instantaneously. It's just the passing of time in this movie. So
the passing of this
bad.
time's movie's trash. They have no establishment of how quickly time passes. The only thing is like Ziegfeld's hair starts to gray, but even then you don't notice till it's like a significant patch of it.
Fun fact, I've seen someone's hair go from colored to gray in maybe a year, so it could have just been a year. We
Yeah.
don't fucking know.
So at the very beginning of the film, Ziegfeld knows this little girl. It's like a friend of the family, and you know they have a cute little relationship. He cares for her. You know, she's a girl, and he's like, "Oh, you're so sweet." And then she shows up as a grown woman in his office, and there's like no interval scene.
Yep.
Like
nope,
you don't see
nothing.
her like he doesn't go back when she's like a tween or like in her like mid-teenage years and be like, "Oh, you've grown so much." No,
Yep.
she shows up and she's like, I don't know, like
She
26.
shows up, gives him a big old kiss on the lips, and it's
Yeah,
just like, what the fuck is
I
going
did
on?
appreciate you, Ian, specifically were joking that like this is going to be like his hot underaged wife. She's the one coming on to him and he's like, no,
I'm married. Well, now
no.
to be fair, Mud, the writing in the movie is not good, so I thought that was going to be the case.
You're right.
Yeah, there's plenty of bad writing because Anna, the main girl, I hate to keep just harping on her character, but I'm about to. She has plenty of scenes where she inconsistently thinks one thing or the other back to back. So
Yes,
she'll like, oh,
yep.
get out of my room, and then he's about to leave, and she's like, no, wait, come back.
She's the least decisive character in anything.
She literally like Ziegfeld's like, I have no money. You have this amazing contract, but you should come with me to America. And she's like, fuck off. as he leaves, she's like, but maybe stay, and like flutters her eyelashes, and it's like, what?
Yeah, it's really bad. Every single interaction between Ziegfeld and a woman is man and woman on screen get married time.
Yeah, like, and everyone's like, oh man, Ziegfeld, he just attracts the ladies, and it's like, I
That's
genuinely don't
not
understand why.
Yeah, it's not an excuse. That's an excuse to have him seduce people quickly, and they gloss over his second wife so bad. It's not even funny. What was her name? Like, they meet her twice.
The second wife, who's the reason this film exists.
She's in the movie for maybe 15 minutes.
It's brutal. Like, there's so many scenes where Ziegfeld is like, you have this amazing opportunity over here. I'm willing to give you an opportunity. I have no money. I just have my word. And people are like, I trust you. And it's like, fucking why?
Dude, Billings never got a cent back from him. He's like, I'm giving you money.
And somehow he's perpetually in fucking debt.
Yep.
Like, they say, oh, well, Ziegfeld, he'll be up 10,000 and down the next. And the movie almost establishes that he has a gambling problem.
Yep.
But we don't see it on screen.
Well, you see
fucking ever. No, not once do we actually see him gambling. There's a couple jokes about him making bets at the beginning of the film.
And stuff.
And he goes to Monte Carlo allegedly and gives away all his money. But we never see him do anything that actually costs him money, which doesn't make sense because all we ever see him do is succeed. There's even a point he's in a barber shop and they're like, he's gonna fail, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna do 4 hits this year, and he does it. Boom, boom, boom. 4. It's like, how the fuck does this guy run out of money? He even has a bookkeeper.
The main issue, Billy helped fund this movie. They speed ran all of the bad shit that happened in between with this divorce. You notice that? Newspaper article, newspaper article, newspaper article, newspaper article. Oh, he's getting married again. And it went right back to happy. This feels like a puff piece news editorial about a guy. He has a gambling problem. He's a terrible husband. He's a fucking charmer, a ladies' man, all this. None of that ever gets brought up because she probably was like, oh, you have to talk good about him.
It was also like immediately after he died.
Yeah, you don't want to speak ill of the dead. But if you are going to make a film about the life of somebody and not include any of his failures in his triumphs, it makes the triumphs not mean anything.
Yeah.
None of the triumphs in this movie mean anything because it glosses over all of the bad shit. It glosses over all of the gambling things. There's a passing statement that he loses 50 grand. Bro, a passing statement about
50
losing
grand.
50 grand?
In like 1910.
Yes, that is insane. So the fact that he loses all of this money and he has to borrow $10,000 at a time and all this shit, like, none of this ever gets explained. He just seems like an asshole, but in reality, he was probably a tortured, addicted human being. And we didn't see anything. His character's so boring because all he does is succeed. We only hear that he fails auxiliary-wise through background shit, but he never actually fails on screen.
We never see him take a risk that doesn't pay off.
Yep.
Billings at the beginning of the movie isn't just his money man. He's also a guy who goes around and finds talent.
Yep.
They're rivals.
Yep.
And like, the main way that Ziegfeld succeeds at the very beginning of the film is he just kind of maneuvers around Billings.
Steals everything Billings has.
It's actually a strong opening.
Yeah.
Where like Billings is following up on all these leads and Ziegfeld just outmaneuvers him through charisma and farce.
Ziegfeld steals his French talent and then fucks her and marries her.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah. So like, it establishes that Ziegfeld's smart and a bit of a con man. But then by the end of the movie, it's like, oh, Ziegfeld's, $20 million in the hole. We're not going to lend him any money. Got it, Billings? Oh, sorry. I already sent him $40,000 to cover everything and another fucking $1 trillion just
and
because.
He gets 2 weeks vacation. Like, what the fuck?
And we occasionally see people being like, oh, Ziegfeld, we want our money back. And he's like, oh, I'll get it to you. Like,
there was that one time where they made the joke where it was actually funny. And he's like, I bet him $10,000 that you would not repay him what you owe him. And he goes, can I get in half of that? That's you telling him you're not paying him. It's so funny, but it's so sad.
Again, that's like early in the film. It's like there's good characters. This film, I will argue, aside from the overture, has a very strong opening. With him and Sandow.
I would say after that 25-ish minutes, the next 2.5 hours of the film plummets downward.
Oh my god!
Like the stock market in the movie.
Can I talk a little bit about that too?
The stock market, sure.
Yeah, the stock market crash. Yeah.
Stomps.
No. I found out something pretty early on in the movie, and I wonder what you guys think about this, but this movie lacks a very clear, distinct personality. Like, I contrast this with the films of Clark Gable. Like, in this movie, I like some of the writing, but I don't like the acting. Like, I like when Ziegfeld cleverly coerces people to be a part of his show. Like, oh, how much money does he pay you? $100 a month? That's not very much, is it at all? Is it? It's very cool. And we're sorely missing an actor to come in and just become the role and take it to new heights.
Yeah, this guy was fine.
Like the last two
He was
movies we watched,
passable.
I believe the last two where it happened
Clark
one night.
Gable, back
Clark
to back.
Gable's.
Yep.
I don't want to sound cliche, but oh my god, can you imagine if Clark Gable was Ziegfeld? They even have the mustache.
Can you imagine if Clark Gable was every guy in every Best Picture we ever watched?
If you had an actor to come in and just become that role and give his all to this performance,
Yeah.
I think you could totally pull off, like, at least bolster this movie. Because the guy playing him, he does fine. He reads his lines and he gets his
He
paycheck.
reads his
I
lines.
guess he technically
Wow,
acts in
minimum.
the scene, but he's not like wowing me here. Tell me
No.
he didn't get a Best Acting nomination. I'd be pretty sad.
He got a nomination and lost. Isn't that what you said?
I'll double check. You guys keep going.
Right, but
Yeah.
like the guy who played Ziegfeld, I feel like you could have gotten someone who could really elevate the role and
No, I
really just
agree.
elevate the movie in turn.
There's a lot of really weird shit in this movie that I just didn't appreciate. You remember they at the beginning of the movie that weird like courier that with the laugh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we forgot about
Yeah.
that.
You know what's fucking weirder than that is they're sending wires to each other. They're in the same fucking building.
Yeah,
They're like, bring this to Ziegfeld and make it collect. It's like, you're like 20 feet away. He sends the wire gets delivered, he pays the guy, and then billing shows up.
yep.
Ziegfeld died in a chair because he never fucking got out of it. He just sent wires to the people in his own building instead of walking to them and telling them the message.
I really wish the characters were more interesting because Anna is such a huge part of the first half of this movie, and she's awful.
I just want to really quick, he was not nominated for
Good.
Best Actor.
Yay!
Okay.
It wasn't that great. Another positive is probably my last positive. I like the montages. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, some of them are really well
yeah.
done.
I think they got the message across. All right,
But
back to negative.
A lot of the things for me too. It's you just said you like part of the editing. I'm gonna go in the exact opposite direction. There's a lot of really bad film tear in this.
Oh yeah, there's like weird, like there's
there's
frames
1
missing.
second half frame drops. There's like throughout the movie, and I know this is early films. You shouldn't criticize it, but like the last couple haven't had that bad. What I can only think of maybe like 1 or 2 weird inconsistencies in Mutiny, and it happened one night.
I think every scene started and stopped with a weird scene tear. Like a couple
Yeah.
frames were missing.
There's a couple frames mid scenes. There's a couple transitions that are just wrong. There's a couple continuity errors, like with the dog.
Oh, yeah,
during
there's
one
a
of the final
dog.
sequences.
I think that's more just they can only make one take of that, you know?
Right.
yeah,
With these elaborate sets.
there's a
and-
lot of poor editing
Yeah.
mixed in with the really good editing.
And on top of that, too, the script has really, really shitty time scripts. So it's like you're misusing most of your 3 hours. On top of that, there's continuity errors. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Honestly, I think
Yeah.
the easiest thing to say is that back when this film first came out, it was a celebration of like Tinseltown and excess and these larger than life shows.
But it was right after the Great Depression.
But more importantly, nowadays, that's to the movie's detriment.
Yep.
Because it's just this bloated mess without direction or
I agree.
identity or any sort of purpose in its story. Like Ziegfeld's personal life takes a backseat for a half an hour for this dance number that just keeps fucking going.
Yes.
There's no named characters in it. There's
Yep.
nobody we know.
Maybe Anna's in one of them.
Maybe.
Like, yeah.
Anna doesn't like screw up. Anna's not replaced as like the main girl by like his future next wife.
Yep.
You know, there's no story relevance to what's going on. There's no bad accident that puts Ziegfeld under because there's an
Yep.
investigation.
It's like to compare this with another movie that does annoying song and dance sequences that are too long sometimes. Broadway Melody, all the characters are in there. It's the main crux, the main focus of the movie. So we actually kind of care about some of the performances. We want to see if they're going to fuck up. We want to see if anything's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional musical in the sense of the music is driving the plot. This is, oh wow, here is a musical. But it's in
because it's
movie
musical
form.
theater.
Let me
Yep.
add some to that, too. In a theatrical production, usually there's an emphasis on being overtly showy and extravagant because you're on stage and there's a big audience. Some might not see it. Everybody barely moves in their amazing song. And like in the cake scene where it's a big cake.
Everyone's
Yeah.
just sitting still. And
Mhm.
like with the Follies, I said it's kind of like somewhere between like a Broadway play
Mhm.
and like a vaudeville show.
Yep.
I don't understand like who these fucking people are. What
Yeah,
are they? Like
I
what is their
agree.
talent? Like, oh, Ziegfeld, they make a big deal about Ziegfeld having an eye for talent. There's this whole subplot about him recruiting this singer for like a really sad melody.
Yep.
Why? What is this?
That also disappears and drops completely after that.
What is the structure of a folly? What is the beginning? What is the middle? What is the end?
Yep.
What's the climax? What's the opening? Who are these people? Is there a story? I don't understand these things. Now, maybe it's one of those things where, it was released like 2 years after he died. Everyone knows how a Ziegfeld Folly goes. Cool. I fucking don't.
Yeah.
Like, pretend I'm an idiot.
Yep.
You know?
And fun fact, people who saw these musical theater things, they weren't always worldwide. So, like,
Yeah.
explain it to your wide audience.
You also could explain maybe what something that isn't a Ziegfeld Folly that came before it is, and then see how Ziegfeld changed shit and improved.
Because
in our eyes,
he was supposed to be
it.
this wildly talented dude. Yeah, I don't care.
I got something
though.
better, though, because they even say in the film he doesn't franchise out. So there aren't Follies across the country. So you can only see them in New York. So
He did New York and LA, I believe.
Yeah, you're assuming that people have seen this show. You know, what if I'm from fucking Colorado? No, I haven't been to the coast. No, I don't know what a Folly is. Is it vaudeville? Is it Broadway? Fuck if I know.
Yep.
I don't understand the structure of this. I don't understand. Is there a through narrative here? Like, what the fuck is going on? They don't explain anything about what Ziegfeld's making.
Yep.
And it doesn't make any sense because the movie starts with him promoting just like a generic strongman. And he's like working at a circus, but he's also freelance because they fire him.
Yep.
And then he teams up with Billings and they kind of like start to build it from there. But there's still no explanation to what he's doing and how it stands out from just regular musical theater. Is it just the production design? Is that what makes it big? Say that. Talk about how the reason he's out of money is because he's always just putting massive amounts of funds. Like everything he makes just goes right back into the show. He has no
that'd be
profit because
interesting.
he's building these giant elaborate sets, you know?
Right, and on top of that too, like we talked a little bit last episode with our hit guest Joaquin about Mutiny on the Bounty, and we were talking about like, oh yeah, you know, you want to stay true to real life, but you also got to adapt it in a way that's interesting to watch.
And fun fact, this did neither.
This did neither. I think they kind of deviated because
Also, I guarantee you there's definitely some shit in here that's not historically accurate.
Right. They deviated from Ziegfeld's life a little bit, which is fine, I guess, but they also didn't make it entertaining.
I would rather have a movie that's historically inaccurate and entertaining than this one that is, I mean, probably a little bit historically accurate.
I'd say the jury is out on this one on the historical accuracy.
Well, we can talk about the historical accuracy, but it also glossed over all the bad shit that happens for only getting anything good. I would rather have something entertaining that shows the good and bad of a situation than this. Where it's just, oh, Ziegfeld was so successful, but he's down $50 million. Especially with all the... There's a lot of generic old school Hollywood shit in this movie. The fainting.
Oh, yeah, there's some
and the
bad
fake
fainting.
drunk garbage again.
Oh,
by
yes,
the way.
it's
It's
movie
limited
drunk.
to one scene, thankfully.
Still.
Yes, and I'm very, very happy.
There have been movie drunk sequences in many, like a shocking amount of Best Picture winners.
Can I say something that doesn't sound like me at all? And you might go, oh, Ian, whoa, who's that? This movie needed title cards.
Whoa! Holy shit!
I can't hear this from you, man. Are you okay? Are you feeling all right?
The passing of time in this movie is so bad that I would have been happy if it went 1914, 1918, like it did in Badvocade.
Cimarron.
Cimarron.
Cavalcade did it too, I believe. I know that doesn't sound like me, but I would have been happier if it did that, because at least then the narrative structure makes more sense and I'm not dummy confused.
You know what's really funny? I think I agree. I'm still sure. This is the first time I've ever heard Ian say that. Ian, I have known you for like a decade, maybe-ish. This is the first time I've ever heard that.
There's ways to do it, like newspaper-wise or like news-wise. Like you could have done the newspaper thing, like have the date in the corner or something, right?
Right.
Like there's a way to do it where it's interesting. Or you can just slap a title card on there. I don't fucking care. Anything is better than what we got.
Also, like, if it's a biopic, the year in which things take
Matters.
place
Does
kinda
matter.
matters.
So much.
You know, if it's a fictional story about a fictional dude, then you can do whenever,
Like
whatever.
when the little girl comes back and is like, let me play for you. And it's like, whoa. Last time I saw you, you were 7.
Yes, and now
Now
you're like 20.
24.
Yes, it's ridiculous. The passing of time is so bad in this movie, I think it needed title cards. Like, honestly. Something. It
Wow.
needed something.
Okay.
I'm genuinely amazed.
Yeah, right. The laziest screenwriting thing is needed in this movie. That's how good the screenplay is.
I'm amazed at that, but at the same time, I totally see your point. Like, that totally makes sense.
Dude, it makes more sense than what we got. Cause
You know what's really funny is I just remembered this movie opened with the year. It started in 1893. It was in like big bright lights.
it should have kept doing that. I would have been like, that's neat. Because at least it's not boring. I'm not dumb. I'm a smart, intellectual human being, I think.
You think?
When it comes to the passing of time in some movies, I'll pick up on some cues. I'll be like, oh, this exists here. This is it.
makes sense because of this, this, and this. And in this movie, it's like, and now Ziegfeld's a little bit grayer in this black and white movie where his hair's almost always fucking gray.
There's a scene where his hair's only gray in the front.
Yep.
And he turns around and his hair's still dark. And it's like,
so what time is it? Like, it is so frustrating.
it's 7:55.
It is the worst paced film I think I've ever watched.
Oh, Lord. It starts like 3 times.
It starts 3
There's
times.
a whole intro with him and his strongman Sandow.
Yep.
And like how he promotes his character. And it's supposed to be like an introduction to Ziegfeld's character. And that's fine. But it goes on for like 20, maybe 30 minutes. And then him and Sandow split up. Sandow's not in the rest of the film.
Nope.
At all.
Not at all.
And then he goes to Europe and he just magics his way into Anna's like contract bedroom pants, whatever. He's training her, and then, we're not making money on Anna, and then they are. And then he starts making follies, and then there's the intermission, and then him and Anna break up, and then he starts dating Billy.
This movie is simultaneously the slowest paced garbage, and then they speed run his second marriage while it's still slow. So I feel like this 3-hour movie was 7 hours long. I feel like I just finished the Lord of the Rings extended cut while watching this.
This is a masterclass in how to waste time in film.
Yep. Oh my
because
god.
you have these extended like 7 to 8 to 9 to 10-minute scenes of Anna kicking Ziegfeld out and then inviting him back in. All to just sign the contract. Like, this can be a 5-minute scene. You can literally cut the scene in half.
Every single scene of dialogue in this film has simultaneously so much fluff, but not enough information. So they feel like they're really, really fast, but also all just fluff, so they feel really, really slow. And then there's 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40-minute dance sequences. And we're sitting here like, where's the meat? If this film was a soup, it'd just be broth.
I kind of see your point on that. I said earlier how like all these sequences with like the dancing and stuff were just completely cuttable to the story, and you could totally have the same exact story but shorter and better probably.
Even if you cut these scenes in half, you'd still have to write another 45 minutes of movie to make it comprehensible.
I don't agree with that.
I
think
like
you
the
can
plot's
cut this
too
film
weak.
down. You can cut this film down. It can be 2 hours and it'll be a weak plot. Yeah, but it's still a film. It will still have a 3-act structure. You know what? I'm going to say something weird, and you're both going to strongly disagree with me. To, in a way, agree with what you're saying, I think you can cut this down to a 2-hour film that's still comprehensible, but I think it's worse.
Yes, but you want to know why it's worse? Because the good stuff is in the shitty dance sequences. And fun fact, if you cut down the shitty dance sequences, this movie doesn't win Best Picture.
Absolutely. This film won 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt. This film won for production and technical background. They had 1,000 people working on this film and 16 reels of film. They made so much movie they had to win by quantity alone. Like the Academy was literally like, there's so much fucking movie. It is literally quantity over quality. It's like, yeah, every scene in this film's cheap, but there's so much movie here that eventually it tips the scale.
Yeah, but in that so much movie is a lady singing and the guy on the piano not syncing up with the piano noise.
Oh my god, that was so
He's just waving his arms wildly. And it's playing like you hear the audio of professional piano players in the background, and his arms are just flailing wildly.
The best part is they do that later in the Follies during the cake sequence, where they're like raising their arms all the way up and slamming it down on fake pianos while an actual piano player is playing. Fucking hilarious.
It's amazing.
So funny.
Like if you really watch those scenes, you'll just like it's so funny. That was in a Best Picture winning film.
I feel like we're at a point in cinema where you shouldn't win on just technicality alone. It should be an all-around effort.
When you say technicality, you mean the production.
The production and stuff.
And the technical direction of the film.
Like if you're groundbreaking CGI, for example, if your movie sucks, that's not enough. If your plot is weak, that is not enough. If your acting is not as good, that is not enough. It should be an overall arcing thing now. And I love that. Back in this era, however, this is an infancy. Hollywood's barely Hollywood. Like, theater is still the main thing of production in this time, in the 30s. So it makes sense to have films win solely off of production or solely off of Clark Gable's the best actor of all time. It makes sense.
I'm going to throw this one out there.
Of course.
I think I have a great example of what you're talking about.
Awesome.
2015, the film that won the most Academy Awards for that year was Mad Max Fury Road. It didn't win Best Picture. It was nominated, but it didn't win. But it fucking swept all of the technical achievements.
Yep.
And I think that's a fantastic example of what you're talking about. If a film is amazing technically, there are plenty of awards for that.
Yep, I agree.
But technical production design, that's only half of it.
It also depends because a lot of Best Picture for me is like the message and the themes of the film.
Exactly.
Mad Max has really good themes, really solid acting. Personally, I feel like that movie could win a Best Picture. Now, debatably, I have not seen Spotlight, so I'm not going to preemptively judge. But I feel like that Mad Max movie specifically has the capability of winning because it's all around an amazing movie.
I'll throw out an even better example. Last year, Ford versus Ferrari.
Yes.
That movie's a technical marvel, and it won in the categories it deserved to win.
Yep.
You know, editing, sound mixing, like
Yep.
the racing in that film's so good. The use of CGI.
And the acting.
sparingly.
Acting
And the
is really
acting's
good.
pretty good. But I think that's a film that's clearly more
Yes.
a technical
And
marvel
that
than
movie thematically is probably the reason why it didn't win.
Yeah.
It's all about theming and script, and the script is really strong in that movie, don't get me wrong.
It is.
But it doesn't have the same weight to it that a
That
film
something like
Parasite
does.
or Joker, which are about very
Or
similar
even-
things.
I would even say 1917.
Yep, 1917 as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, like, not for nothing, but the year Green Book won, which you actually brought up, one of the nominees was Black Panther, and I have really come around on the fact that that got nominated. I used to be one of those guys who's like, oh, it's not the best Marvel movie that year even. Why is it the best movie? It's not even the best superhero movie that year. It's not this. It's not
Yep.
that. Why does it deserve to be nominated? But when you look at the cultural significance of Black Panther and what it literally did, like, there were rallies to get inner city kids who weren't, wealthy enough to get a movie ticket to go see Black Panther,
Yes.
like, to like crowdfund
The
that.
cultural significance of the movie is one of the reasons why it got nominated, and that's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
And that,
Yes.
honestly, I've come around. I used to be really down on it getting nominated, but I'm okay with that now. I see why. It's not just because the movie's great. Like, the third act kind of blows. But I think what that movie did brings a little bit of merit and clout to the fact that it got nominated.
So you think it should have won the Academy Award for most popular film?
Ah,
God, remember
remember-
that piece of shit?
yeah, remember that?
Like,
That was-
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, though.
Yeah,
because
that's really
I
funny,
remember when
dude.
they announced that, everyone was just like, "You fucking cowards! Just nominate Black Panther for Best Picture. You fucking cowards!" Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like everyone knew it. It's like you're just doing that so you don't have to put it in Best Picture. You fucking wieners.
I do want to say that year's Oscars were very weird.
Green Book was not the Best Picture.
No, it was not.
No,
It was not
Sean.
by far. Let me also say, I liked Green Book a lot. I thought it was a really solid movie. On this list, it does not
No.
measure up as one of the best. No,
No, I
the
agree.
favorite easily. I know it's in the title, but it is like probably the best one there.
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying to
that's
think of a
fair.
better one, but whatever.
Yeah. To get back on track, my
Yeah,
point is
like that doesn't happen anymore. The
technical
technical
wins don't happen anymore.
And you know what? I'm happy they don't. And again, I feel like I say this every time we watch a movie I don't like. I'm glad movies aren't like this anymore.
I think in terms of technical awards, while they still have merit, because there
Oh,
are
of course
films
they
that
do.
have amazing
Every
technical
single
production.
Oscar category has merit. If you are the best at a thing, good fucking shit, amazing job.
Exactly.
The film could suck. Fucking Suicide Squad has an Academy Award. That being said,
That merit is not to be taken lightly.
Mm-mm.
I agree, because especially with the Academy, and one of the reasons that I hold them as probably one of the best film awards out
You're
there.
not a big Golden Globe
I'm not a big
guy?
Golden Globe guy. The reason is because each branch of the Academy has working people in that industry vote for their awards category. So VFX artists nominate VFX work.
Yep.
So the makeup and hairstyling workers who work at the Academy nominated it and got Suicide Squad to win.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
they watched the 3 movies nominated and went, this one has the best makeup and hairstyling.
Yep.
And I'm not going to argue with them. Who am I? I'm not working in
You're
these.
some little shithead here in Massachusetts.
Right. I'm not doing
Watching
shit.
the great Ziegfeld
Right.
at fucking 8 p.m.
Right.
Yep.
But Best Picture is an exception because everyone votes in Best Picture. So
We have a say in that.
we have a little bit of a say in that.
This is
I'm
my
everyone.
league.
Fun fact: I'm part of everyone.
so I guess we all are.
We
That
all
sounds
are. Yeah.
excellent.
Brett.
Yeah. This one is a pretty bad movie. I have a nitpick and then a massive.
Oh, is the massive point the thing that we didn't talk about yet?
Yes. Let me just
Holy
get the
shit.
nitpick. Wait, hold on. Nitpick out of the way. Child acting was okay.
That's
not a
not a
nitpick.
nitpick. That's a compliment.
Well, it's more of like a mini thing. Like usually, child acting sucks ass.
Oh,
does,
yeah.
Especially in old movies. I think it's all
Oh, yeah.
awful.
So most of the time, the
You
regular
don't like
acting.
the Shirley Temple Little Darling DVD collection?
I don't own or want to own any of the things you just said.
You know what the hottest, freshest, funniest thing is? I own that. My mom has the Shirley Temple thing.
Are you guys ready for the big point?
Is it blackface?
I'll get you. So an hour and 12 minutes in, a man in blackface does an entire song and dance performance in said blackface whilst doing an impression of a man I presume is what he thinks a black guy is for the entire sequence. And it goes on for like 3 or 4 minutes.
3 or 4, dude. That was almost 7 minutes long.
I wanna expand on this. So we
Go
were
ahead.
watching the film, and because we're not recording, we were like, okay, we can pause the film and look at shit. And that pops up. There's a little card, like you have like a hotel, like a display card,
Like a little poster.
like
almost.
a poster card
Yeah.
in the hotel. And like the camera's painting across some paintings, and then it settles on this dude in blackface. And we all went, "Oh, what the shit was that?" Because it went by for
Yeah,
just a
I don't
second.
think either of you noticed. And I went, "Oh my god, is that?"
No,
Jake,
I
go back.
noticed.
Yeah,
we noticed it.
Yeah.
Jake missed it. We were like, "We need to rewind."
Yeah, we need to go back.
And we looked at it and we were like, we had that moment of
Oh
like,
my God.
holy
Not
fucking shit.
again.
We've
Yep.
gone, we were at number 8 and there hadn't been blackface yet.
I was shocked.
I was genuinely
Now,
shocked.
granted, we had racist portrayals of
We've
characters.
had plenty of racism, but like never blackface.
The guy who played Isaiah in Cimarron was actually black.
he was actually
Yes,
black.
that black person played a black person. Wow, good job, Cimarron.
Amazing. And then we're like, oh, holy shit. What the fuck is that? And we're like, all right, we'll make a note of it. We hit play. He fucking pops up on screen and just starts singing. We're all like, what the fuck? And
Dude.
because of the way this film works, it's a 7-minute long song that adds nothing to the film.
It just adds
And
racism
it's
and
just
nothing
excess.
else. It's so bad.
And he doesn't even interact with Ziegfeld.
No,
like
not
it's
at
not
all.
like he's like a member of like Ziegfeld's group. It's not like, my favorite blackface guy. Like like no. He's just in here for no fucking reason. I don't even know his name.
Yeah, I had a really big problem with that entire song and dance number in blackface.
Remember how we went from Mutiny last movie, where like the people of color were played by people of color?
Which was a shock to us. We were like, wait,
Hey,
this guy's
not all of
actually
them were,
from...
like, not all of them were from Tahiti, but the main guy was.
the main guy was
That's
from
sick.
Tahiti. One of them was from Hawaii, and the other one was from Mexico. It's like, wow, actual ethnic people.
of color that are playing and portraying people of color. And then in this one, it's like, let's have this white man be black guy. It's like, oh my god, 1 year, and all of a sudden it's fucking back to the Stone Age. The fact that we went from a movie that had a chance to do the appropriation thing and just didn't.
Ian,
did
I
it
would
right.
argue that every single movie has a chance to not
No,
be racist, but some very much choose to be racist.
Okay, and then this one was like, can we cut out the blackface song and dance number? No, it's what Ziegfeld would have wanted to be in the movie. Like, what?
So, I have a bit of a tangent.
Okay, we always go on those.
And a bit of a preview for next week's movie. With Cimarron and other films, it feels like that Hollywood is almost trying to say something about like cultures and stuff like that, right? One movie ago, we had ethnic people actually being played by ethnic people.
Yep.
That was really good. But at the same time, I think it's a mistake to say that like Hollywood in this time really wanted to put that in the forefront and wanted to be controversial, because to hearken it to a film that was nominated for Best Picture this year, in Mank, there's that scene where they're talking about Hitler,
Yes.
and they're all like, that Hitler guy, what an idiot. That is not at all how Hollywood was back during this time. And
Nope.
I know that for a fact because of the research I did for The Life of Emile Zola, which is the next Best Picture winner.
Right.
There's a whole section of what I will be talking about Nazi appeasement in that film.
Yep.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it's way easier to talk about shit like that.
It is.
But in the heat of the moment for those people, they were like, oh, we have to appeal to the Nazis.
You make a fantastic point.
Thank you.
I understand. But it's the same way that we complain about movies that suck China off in a way, where it's appeasement to just make money. You're selling your soul. So
That's
I
true.
think it's a mistake to give Hollywood a lot of credit for, these ethnic actors are playing ethnic characters. They clearly do not care right
I
now.
do want to talk.
A little bit about that, I guess. We can go into a little more of it. I feel like Hollywood in general, you're absolutely right. The director, the casting people that they have for the movie and the directors might actually care. Some of them might actually care. Might actually put in the effort to be like, I think we should maybe be a little at least accurate because it would make more sense for the movie. Since Mutiny was supposed to be realistic and historically accurate, if you have white people being ethnic people, it's not accurate at all. And I understand not all the movies are historically accurate, but that's kind of a big thing that people see and go,
And
I don't think people at this time cared.
I don't either.
Because I know they don't.
Dr. No came out in the 60s and had excessive yellow face.
Dude, Cloud Atlas came out in 2013.
2012.
2012,
yeah.
my bad. And had yellow face.
Asian Hugo Weaving. He looks like Spock.
Racially
All
insensitive.
right, I think
Yeah.
that's the gambit. So, boys,
Out of 10. All right,
Oh
I'm gonna go
my
for it.
god.
I'm gonna give it 1. I liked the things that I said I liked. That's about as high as I can give a score. It's not a 0, because a 0 means there's nothing here I like. And
Yeah,
that's
and
not
there's
true.
stuff here.
But it's
Yep.
damn fucking close. It's pretty bad.
So, I hate to agree with Jake, because Jake's such a fucking idiot sometimes. But
Oh,
Jake,
don't mind me just being a fucking idiot over here.
you're the most intelligent person on the planet right now.
Thank
'Cause
you.
1, like, I agree. There's nothing in this movie besides the production and the costumes, and that's well and good. But I just slogged through 3 hours of my life that I'm not getting back, and it felt like 10. My disappointment is immeasurable.
so you guys know that meme of the puppet like looking to the side and looking away?
Yeah.
That's how I feel right now with you guys being like, the smartest people on the planet give this movie a 1. 5.
Wow.
Wow, that's way too.
I don't hate it.
No, I understand.
There's a lot of problems. It's really long. The story's boring as sin and clearly way too polished. But I don't hate it.
Okay.
I hated it.
I definitely cannot watch this film again.
Wow, I wonder why.
So what's your favorite and least favorite?
All Quiet and Cavalcade still.
Yeah, same. Unchanged.
Mutiny on the fucking Bounty. It's a movie with a boat. I love boat.
Hey, Cavalcade has the Titanic in it. Is that your least favorite one?
Still my least favorite one. You're right.
Got him.
Yeah, this is close. This might be my second least favorite just because of the length.
Cimarron for me. Yes, you can fucking hate
Okay,
Cimarron.
Cimarron's painfully racist. This also has painful racism. But isn't Cimarron like over an hour shorter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
My second least favorite's Broadway, and then above that Cimarron, and then above that Ziegfeld.
Fucking Ziegfeld. God
Dude,
damn it.
Ziegfeld's pretty bad. Guys, it's over. We
It is
did it.
fucking over.
And on top of that, next week we get to watch the
what are we watching,
sweet,
Jake?
the sweet life of
Zach
Emile
and
Zola.
Cody and yeah, okay, I can. All right, so the next week is The Life of Emile Zola, which is notable because it is now 2 picks away, or maybe 3, from Gone with the Wind, which is the 12th best picture.
Clark Gable!
I'm more excited for that than I am for that, or You Can't Take It With You.
Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys next week.
We finna do this shit like this. It's like
Who are you?
I am Digimon Horseman.
I don't think that's how your name is actually pronounced.
I feel bad for the guys writing Shazam 2, and every year that passes because of COVID, they have to rewrite the ages of all the kids slightly.
Oh yeah, that's the old batarang.
He used it to kill a wall.
He really took down that pillar.
And right here are the tattered remains of that dude he yoked through 3 walls in Africa.
I have his whole corpse.
I have his spine. It's all that survived.
What's happening?
I think I saw the communist hammer and sickle in there.
Lust is my favorite sin. Right behind enjoying anything at all. Is there an old wizard here?
Is there a Digimon horseman here?
I heard he smells like bitch.
He fucking what? I'm here.
This is all in one day.
Yep.
Dude, can our channel grow like this?
Yeah, what the fuck, dude?
Like and share this video with your friends.
lying ass niggas